All right, folks, let's get you updated. This is our Mega 3 live stream, Storm Team 3 live stream. There, I'm going to back out of the picture and click on my computer just so we'll be on the same page here. For some reason, I just keep missing that out. There we go. Now we're in business there. Hope you guys are having a nice Saturday evening there. Let's get you updated on what happened weather-wise today, and then we'll go through the present and then move on to the future happenings, or at least the potential future happenings in the Arklatex. Is my computer going to work? Let me try one more time. It's always something with computers. Have you ever had trouble with computers for some reason? I'm having one here today. Okay, let's see if that's going to happen. Now it's happening. Okay. Now we got our ducks in a row or what have you. National Weather Service says we had a high temperature of 82 today after a low of 46. And the second row of numbers is the average for this date, for this time of year. And it's a 30-year average. So we were well above average today. No records set. Of course, what makes the average is all the records and extremes that you have when you're calculating or tabulating the data over a 30-year period of time. So anyway, we were on the high side of the average today, but no record set here in the Arklatex and no rainfall at the Shreveport National Weather Service. Those are the records keepers at the Shreveport Regional Airport. Our KTBS 3 weather watchers, well, we had some information from them. I'll do a little shout out here. We got Ken Wallen in New Boston, 81 for his afternoon temperature. Chuck Cam in Redwater, 82 for his afternoon high. And recall, again, 66 about the average along the I-20 corridor latitude-wise, so probably a degree or two less up toward Texarkana. Jason Patterson, Atlanta, Texas, he's been hanging out with KTBS for years. I was there, over 23 years, and he was sending weather data to us years back. Good to hear from. What he's got recorded today is about 2/3 of an inch. That's the rainfall for the month of February. Not very much there. Extreme drought up his way. Brian Loper in Atlanta, Texas, 80 for his high. So he lives in the same location or pretty close to where Jason lives. Over in Louisiana, Vic Scarborough in Ida, Louisiana, high temperature of 80 this afternoon. A little bit farther south, we got some folks in East Texas. June Jones, Elysian Fields, had 80 for her high today. And Bob Baker down in Carthage, he's been with us since probably the early 2000s, 81 for his afternoon temperature there. And Northwest Louisiana, Francis Moody, Cypress Lake, 83 for his high, and he had over 2 inches, about 2¼ inches of rain for the month of February. And that was all from one storm that rolled through here a few weeks ago. You might recall a severe weather night we had, and it was a Saturday, in fact, a couple of weeks ago. Kay Berry in Stonewall, 83 for her today. And Gene Haynes in Stonewall, same area, he had 1.37 inches for the month of February, and that was all from one night storm, too. Barry Howard down in Clarence, Louisiana, 83 for his high temperature today. Again, your average high is in the mid-60s, so very warm, what goes down in his record books. Very warm day. Gary Stratton and Blanchard, 82 today. Mike Lyles in Shreveport there in the lower 80s. Ronnie Hull just up the way in Shreveport, 84 for his high, and over, 1 inch and 2/3 for the rain amount there for February. Mark Potter in Bossier City, 82, 1.34 inches for February there. Randall Elliott in Benton, almost 2½ inches, 84 degrees. He's east of Benton. He's a little bit closer to Cypress Lake. I used to live up that way, so kind of familiar with all that area. Molly Rankin in Benton, 82 today and 1.77 inches of rain for February. Weather watchers, thank you again for doing that, getting us that information. And again, it's nice to have data coming in from actual neighborhoods, towns, and what have you. When you see the automated information, it's readily available 24/7, but it comes from airports, and then some of the numbers are also interpolated to try to give you a good information concerning temperatures. In fact, currently 57 in DeQueen, 70 in Texarkana, the upper 60s in Shreveport, low 60s down toward Natchitoches and Ruston, the mid 60s in Marshall. We got 63. That's current temperature in Center, Texas. Here's our Wells Night Mega 3 Doppler radar. So we're looking on the 150-mile scale there in the Doppler mode. So we're able to look at winds and what have you. and got a little bit of anomalous propagation going on in East Texas. That could be some bird movements there. Not quite sure. Haven't really checked into it. But northern part of the Arklatex had a little bit of rain earlier. Closer examination and going 2D had a little band of showers in the jet stream flow that is, or the storm track, right on the edge of the Arklatex. So we had these little showers kind of roll through today. I checked on the Camden area to see if any of that rain was reaching the ground, and their little airport automated system wasn't picking up any measurable rain. So it could be a couple sprinkles, but that little area of showers has moved on by, and that's about it. Chance of measurable rain for tonight. It's not very big, but the storm track being so close and another couple of weather disturbances pushing by in the northern part of our Arklatex area gives us just a slight possibility of something measurable in the rain department. And that means at your location, at least 1/100th of an inch or something to wet the ground and make a puddle or two rain chance. So not a big possibility of rain occurring out of 100%. The rest of the Arklatex, it looks like a 0% chance of rain for tonight. Same odds for tomorrow. And the storm track will still be close to the Arklatex, even though we'll have more of the thermal ridge kind of keeping us stable and keeping us fairly warm, and also keeping us rather dry. Here's a drought monitor. So NOAA puts this out, and I believe they update it every Thursday. So this is from last Thursday or Friday. And what you see in red there is extreme drought. Northeast Texas, up in the southern Oklahoma, up in the central Arkansas. The gold colors that cover most of the Arklatex, our viewing area, that is severe drought. So pretty much covering a good deal of our Arklatex area. And then moderate drought in the tan colors. So it's dry across the Arklatex, and it'll take quite a bit of rain to take care of that drought. Now, we do have a chance of rain increasing for next week, but still, it'll take a lot to remediate that drought. Burn bans, well, the high fire danger still exists. Now, it came down a little bit today. Temperature was high, so that dried things out. The humidity was low, so it was still a pretty high fire danger kind of day. But the good news, the winds were light today, but still, we have all the burn bans. And where you see the red shading there indicates that it's unlawful to do any outdoor burning until the various, parish or the local governments allow you to do so. So bottom line is not a good time to do any outdoor burning, even if you're not under a burn ban. But if you are under one, it is against the law to do any outdoor burning. All right, here's the big picture. So I like to show the big picture because it kind of relates to what's happening in our location. So the yellow arrows indicate the jet stream. That's the upper level river wind that controls our weather at the surface. And it's still making this big ridge. It looks like a mountain ridge here, but it has a couple of ripples there. We call those perturbations, little weather disturbances kind of riding in the jet stream flow. And those disturbances have some dynamic lift to them, and they can squeeze out what little moisture we have in the atmosphere and make for some showers and storms. These little disturbances are going right on the edge of the Arklatex. You can kind of see the storm track is just right on the edge of our area. I put Shreveport there, just kind of give you a reference. So one little disturbance passed through here. You can kind of see, it, and this is the this jet stream map. I put it over the water vapor imagery, and it's a really good tool to look at and see what's happening in the atmosphere. Where you see the green colors there, a couple things. Well, essentially the green colors indicate moisture high in the atmosphere, and that moisture has to get there some way. So where you see the mountains there, some of that is just the jet stream blowing up the mountain there, and the lift is causing that moisture to rise, cool, and condense and form clouds. But also these weather disturbances, they also have dynamic lift, especially on the east side, and they help to promote that rise, and you see the brighter colors near those little disturbances. Well, we got one little disturbance passing through that kicked off those little showers. Not a very strong one. I can't really see too much in the way of moisture around here, possibly across Arkansas where it's a little bit brighter. So the moisture shows up bright, and the dark colors indicate drying. And drying comes in a couple forms. Sinking air usually is the case when you're looking at the upper atmosphere with these water vapor charts or water vapor imagery. And you can see some big time orange color there across eastern Louisiana, Mississippi. That was a disturbance that passed by yesterday, and that little dip in that little trough there on the back side of that disturbance has a really strong subsidence or sinking air, so very stable down that way. We're kind of right on the edge of the storm track, so these little disturbances will be coming by over the next few days, and that will give us just minimal chance of rain, mainly in the northern parts of our Arklatex. But this ridge that looks like a mountain ridge there, where you see the H, very strong. In fact, there's a lot of substance. So the upper level disturbances have the dynamic lift that forces the moisture up to cool, condense, and form the clouds and what have you. The rain and what, there's other processes that go on there, but kind of just simple terms there. But the upper level high pressure systems, the air sinks, and so it dries out the atmosphere and also heats it up. And so where you see the big brown area there, that's a strong ridge, a very powerful one. And we usually see this in the summertime, especially by August, when we first couple of weeks of August, we'll get our peak heating. And over the years, that's usually the time that you have a big ridge of high pressure hanging out over the Arklatex. So we're getting up near 100 degrees, or we got a string of 100-degree days. Well, not so much for us, but for this time of year, we're so far above average due to the strength of this upper level ridge. And it looks like it'll stay with us. It'll shift into the eastern part of the United States, but we'll have enough of the effects as the week goes along that we'll stay right up there in the 80s, well above average for this time of year. And incidentally, it was nearly 100 degrees out in the desert Southwest today, and it's the last day of February. Phoenix was well up in the 90s this afternoon, and it was, I believe, yesterday that down just south of Laredo, one of the observation stations that the National Weather Service runs had 106 for a high temperature. So it's a very strong, excuse me, a very strong ridge. And some people may ask, well, is this global warming or what have you? Well, weather really is just a balancing process. The good Lord made our earth, and he made our atmosphere, and the earth is spinning. And as it spins, you got this viscous fluid that has phase change going on, moisture in all different phases, ice, water, what have you, going on. And so there's a lot of processes going on. And the atmosphere is constantly changing, trying to balance itself with the spinning globe, according to the way our Maker has constructed our planet and its atmosphere. So bottom line is, it all works out in the wash to maintain roughly a balanced temperature of our planet. So we may be heating up a little bit because we're, especially in cities where you got, population explosion, and you got more concrete and what have you. But it all kind of works out in the wash. But it does, the global temperature's been going up a little bit as time goes along, but not much we can do about it. But anyway, just throwing that out there. So anyway, that strong ridge is what's dominating our weather right now. But we're so close to the storm track. We had this weak cold front that's kind of pushed into the area. And the dynamics of the front are a little more north of the Arklatex. So you see the moisture up there in northern Arkansas and southern Missouri. You see the rain, in other words, and clouds. And so the dynamics are a little stronger. The push in the northern part of that front is stronger. The tail end, though, is just kind of dragging itself into our area, and that'll help promote a couple of spotty sprinkles north of the I-30 corridor over the next 24 hours. Temperature-wise, 75 in Dallas, got 60s down toward Houston, 68 in Shreveport, got the 60s up in Little Rock, and Memphis town there at 62. All right, here's Precision Cast. So this forecast program, again, I like to use the GFS. It's a good regional model, but it works great in the South. It's a little more broad brush, but it makes for good forecasting. And then when you get closer to a situation, you can use some of the short-term models. They all go off the initialization of the weather balloon launches at the National Weather Service. So this one, it tends to work great, and I've used it for years. Anyway, bottom line is I'm using it for your Precision Cast. So forecast-wise for tonight, still some showers, northern parts of the Arklatex with more disturbances, ripples in that jet stream flow. Not as cool tonight because we're starting to pick up a little bit of a south wind, and that ridge is starting to move to the east. So we're getting a little more effects of that ridge. So we're heating up just a little bit, and we'll be well up in the 80s for tomorrow. But the humidity will also be increasing too. So as we go through the course of tonight, it's possible that a little bit of patchy fog, we call it advection fog, coming up from the Gulf of Mexico may work in the southern Toledo Bend. Also, a little radiation fog, although the computer model shows in bright white some high clouds drifting in on the storm track, and the jet stream flow just north of us. So anyway, another disturbance pushing in. So there could be a little bit of patchy fog, but no, I don't think it'll be widespread south of I-20, especially in the East Texas Lakes region. So this is tomorrow morning, your Sunday morning. And then we got a few showers showing up in green northwest of I-30, and those will continue on and kind of hit and miss. Now, as we go through the daylight hours, it looks like the fog goes away early, and then a little disturbance passes by with those high clouds, and then the sun breaks out on the backside of that little ripple in the jet stream flow. And so I have some morning clouds and afternoon sunshine. So I think your Sunday's going to be fine. It'll just look kind of not as pretty for the morning there, and still spotty showers up north and west of the I-30 corridor, including because of that little front. All right, here's the jet stream forecast. So you see that little disturbance there? So that's a little trough, and jet stream flow, the upper level river wind is kind of going with the bluer colors up there. So it's a little bit colder, a little lower height in the atmosphere. That's where the jet stream is flowing. It's pretty much, we call it geostrophic flow, parallel to those height lines there. And so that's the jet stream. The shape of it is kind of how we can tell what kind of weather we're going to see. So this is a forecast using that same GFS I was just talking about, it, regional model, medium range model there. And of course, it's not an ensemble. It takes data from one period of time, and this was from 12Z this morning at 6 a.m. And it takes that data, throws it into computer equations, and spins out forecasts like 2 weeks out. You get that many days out, you're looking at quite a bit of error that builds up just in the forecasting process by itself. The compilation and the error just keeps adding up, and then you got the error from the initialization, what have you. But bottom line is, if you go that far out, that's really too far out because things will change on you. But if you go 7 days out, it's manageable. 7 days forecasting. So anyway, this is Wednesday time frame. So you see the little bend there, the little dip, that's called a trough. And we got an upper level system that comes by, and it kind of drags its heels, but it comes through the Arklatex. The strongest part of the system, it looks like forecast wise, will be up in Illinois, but a little bit farther south down into our area, we still have a little resemblance of a trough. And so that means could have some inclement weather due to that on Wednesday. That may give us a little bit of rain. Notice our big ridge that was out in the southwest. Now it's moved over toward Florida there. You can kind of see where the jet stream kind of bows up to the north over the southeast part of the nation. And so the ridge trades places, but with the brown color showing up on the map, that's heights that are still high in the atmosphere. And that means we're still under the influence of the ridge. So we have a warm weather day there on Wednesday, and then we have that little trough up to our north that could give us a little bit of rain. So having that warmth means we have some instability, and it could translate into some thunderstorms. And also we got what we call some forcing along that front, although the front doesn't go through. That's called the surface reflection of that trough in the upper atmosphere going by. It doesn't blow through, but having it close by, you got the moisture and you got the instability of the warm down near the ground, and cooler as you go aloft. And that trough is also cooler, so you got some cooling in the upper atmosphere to make the instability a little stronger. And then the wind change in direction and speeding up as you go up in the atmosphere. That's called wind shear. And then you got the surface front there to kick things off. We could have some thunderstorms, and there's possibility that some of those could be severe. It's not the best odds right now, but we're still 3 days away, and that forecast could change, and it'll be updated. It's updated every 6 hours here. So we'll, and actually the 12-hour versions are better than the in-between ones. So bottom line is chance of rain. Next chance of significant rain is probably Wednesday time frame. And the Storm Prediction Center seems to think that there could be some severe weather. And again, I was talking about the instability, the moisture, The frontal forcing there, we call moisture convergence, that front kind of lifting up the moisture, and you got the dynamics of that trough coming on by, the wind shear. All these things can help make for some severe weather if you get them all packed together in one good, product there to make storms. So hail and gusty winds are possible with the system, according to the Storm Prediction Center. And this is 5 days out. So that there could be some changes, but be mindful that the northern part of the Arctic, close to where that front kind of hangs out near the I-30 corridor, there could be some severe weather and some significant rain in some areas, although it doesn't look like it's a widespread event for us. So now I've worn you out with all that business. Let's get to the forecast. 57 in Shreveport tonight, a little bit of patchy fog south, a few spotty showers up in northern sections. Generally, area-wide lows in the 50s tonight. We had 40s and 50s last night, but we're warming up now. We're starting to pick up a little more of a south wind at the surface. That brings in that warmer air from the Gulf of Mexico, a little moisture. And also we have that ridge starting to kind of work its way toward the East Coast. So we're getting that sinking air in the upper atmosphere is heating us up. So our temperatures tonight, warmer, and clouds too, keeping the heat in. And then we get into tomorrow. Well, it's 83. That's a toasty one for tomorrow. Still those showers possible northwest of I-30 and well above average high 66, so well above average for tomorrow. Winds out of the southeast at 10. That's a warming wind for us. Highs generally in the 80s across our area as we go through your Sunday. All right, here's our 7-day forecast. We're getting to the finish line here. All right. Lower 80s on Monday, Tuesday. We got that chance of showers and storms, the potential for severe weather. And I say potential, it's not a done deal. Again, that many days out, you might have some changes in the timing of that weather system moving in, when it arrives, in other words, and also how strong it could be. So those are a couple things that can determine whether or not you're going to have severe weather, measurable rain, or what have you. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. Forecasting weather in the Arctic is not easy. If you probably already know that. And then that the rain could linger on into Thursday until that front backs up to the north as a warm front away from the Arctic on the backside of that trough. And so could be afternoon and evening into the overnight and early Thursday, and then the rain chance goes away in the afternoon Thursday. And then we get into Friday, just a slight possibility of rain until the next weather system comes our way with the weather pattern change. And it might be a little more significant, but it's several days away. That's next weekend. And we'll, like I said, we'll continue to monitor this. But that weather pattern change will help our drought. Right now, I'm not sure if it's going to be a drought buster. It doesn't look that way. But again, things could vary on us here over the next few days forecasting. So, and in general, highs in the 80s, lows 50s and 60s. And it looks like that rain chance increasing by the middle part of next week. So until then, it is going to be very dry, and we'll continue with that high fire danger, although decreasing a little bit with the increase in humidity, but also increasing with the winds picking up there, especially by Tuesday. So it's a bit of a caveat. So anyway, appreciate you watching there. I think I probably wore you out by now, but thanks, and I hope your Saturday evening goes well for you. We'll be back here in a little bit on KPXJ CW21 News at 9. That's a full hour worth of news, sports, and weather. And then after basketball later on tonight, we'll be back with you on KTBS Channel 3, and that'll be a full hour of broadcasting. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you after a while.